Comic Addict Show with Black Box Silver and Bronze with a small haul. Let's check it out. Hey, comic addicts. I hope you had a great 2023. And this is my last haul from 2023. I spent Christmas with some friends that I knew in the Navy. We were stationed together in Japan, and then we were both stationed in Hawaii together. And now we live just a couple of hours apart. I live in Chattanooga, and he lives in Huntsville. And I had a great Christmas down there. And on the way home, I stopped at an antique store and the Deep, which is a comic store down there, and picked up this small haul. So the first thing I got at an antique store was Supernatural Thriller number 9. This is from October of 1974. It's a story about the living mummy. I picked this up for $2. It's really beat, but didn't have it in my collection. And for $2, I figured it was a great deal. And the Living Mummy's first appearance was in Supernatural Thrillers number 5. So 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So this, I guess, would be his 5th appearance unless he appeared in some crossovers. But there it is. Great cover with the mummy in the Pyramid of Watery Doom. Then the next stop was at a comic store called The Deep. And I think it might be in Madison, Alabama, which is like a suburb of Huntsville. But if you're down in the Huntsville area and you search up comic stores, this is one of the ones that will come up. And I've been there, this may be my 3rd time, and I always enjoy going there. They have lots of comics. They have a section with wall books. They have a section with just rows and rows of long boxes that you could look through. So I'm always looking for filler in the long boxes. But in the front near the wall is a small kind of horseshoe area, which is the more of the silver, gold, and bronze age section. So I always like to dig through there. So here's what I picked up this time. I picked up Classic Star Wars: The Early Adventures number 1. This is from Darkhorse Comics. And this is from 1994. And it is actually reprints of some Russ Manning newspaper strips from 1979 and 1980. And I already read it. It was a fun story. There's this character that Darth Vader's dealing with called the Black Hole. And this is a cover for it made by Mike Allred. That's what caught my eye. I thought it was a kind of a neat cover, and then I really enjoyed reading it. You've seen before, I do like to get these Dark Horse Star Wars. They're pretty fun comics. And the next thing I got, so happy to get this one, Providence number 2. So this is a series that ran 12 issues. This is from 2015 by Avatar, and it's an Alan Moore story. And it's based upon like H.P. Lovecraft ideas. And I was picking this up when it was coming out new, and my comic shop in Hawaii either had a hard time getting it or was forgetting that it was on my pull list because I didn't have all the issues. And so I've been trying to hunt this down since then, since 2015. And I guess it must have been made in low print runs. It is tough to find. So every comic shop I'm looking for, I always go to the P's and look for Providence. And they had it this time. So there was about 6 issues in there. This is issue number 2. The reason I'm happy to get this one is because I've now completed it and I can dig them all out and read the story beginning to end. And then I pulled out an issue of Plop. This is Plop, issue number 17, with a Basil Wolverton cover. And this is from October of 1975. I remember reading these when I was a kid. You could see the cartoons across the top there, Sergio Argonis. And I just really enjoyed finding these when I was a kid and reading them. So I probably have a few in my collection somewhere. And this one, they had about 4 or 6 issues of this. They were pretty pricey. This one was only $4, so I grabbed it. It's in very nice shape. But there were 24 issues. The first 19 all had covers like this, where there was just some kind of weird drawing on it. And they were all done by Wally Wood or Basil Wolverton. So those are fun to get. I have another issue past this where it's got like 3 panels across the front instead of this type of portrait of some weird kind of character. But you could always kind of tell Basil Wolverton's art, can't you? Then I found this issue of Space Adventures. This is Space Adventures issue number 58 from September of 1964. Nice UFO giant eye cover. That's a Dick Giordano cover. And I always like to pick these Charlton sci-fi comics up when I can find them, little by little. Now here's an oddball. A lot of my stuff is oddball, but this one is particular. This is Werewolf by Dell Comics. And this is issue number 2 from March of 1967. And so there were 3 issues of Werewolf. There was issue number 1, and then this is issue number 2, and there was issue number 3. But it's not a werewolf like the Universal Monster werewolf. It's a superhero whose name is Werewolf. And what was really interesting about this was that at the same time period, Dell had 3 different series going, all the titles of Universal Monsters, but they were superheroes instead. So Werewolf issues 1 to 3, and then there was Frankenstein issues 1 through 3, and there was also Dracula issues 1 through 3. And they were all superheroes with the titles of the Universal Monsters. And so this was the final issue I needed. I was very surprised to see it. These are hard to find. Next up is an old Golden Age war book. This is GI in Battle. This is an Ajax comic from 1953. And it has that looking through the leg trope that I like. This has been on my hunting list for a long time, and it's very hard to find. So I was really happy when I was digging through and found this. See, there's a nice tape pull on the eye there, and the covers are detached, and there's a big tear in the back cover, but don't care. It still looks pretty good, and it's really a tough book to find. So Ajax had this Golden Age war series, and there were 9 issues in it. And then they had a second volume, 1957 and 1958, which ran 6 issues. But very happy to have that one. I think that's a great cover. The last comic I got was the Great Society comic book, and this was from 1966 by Parallax Comics, and it's a political satire. So this is Lyndon B. Johnson, Super LBJ, and he's talking about the Great Society. Well, in this comic book, the Great Society is an acronym for the group resigned to end all threats. And he's got a band of other heroes who are basically, all the, big time political figures of the time, were protecting the U.S. from threats all around the world. You could see Lady Bird Johnson there, kind of looks a little like Wonder Woman. This is Teddy Kennedy. He's dressed up like Robin. That's Bobby Kennedy. He's called Bob Man. Over here, I believe that is Nixon. Barry Goldwater's in here somewhere. But basically, the art is pretty good. Looks like regular comic book art. This was done by DJ Arneson and Tony Tallarico. And, there's a couple of things in here where they're dealing with the Chinese threat. So the enemy is Fu Man Lai. And then they're dealing with the Cuban threat. Here he is against Sicko Kid. And you get some big splash pages of Super LBJ that the comic ends on, which looks like the cover. But these two guys here, what's interesting is at the same time around this was coming out, these are the guys that created Lobo. And so that's an interesting fact. When I got home, there was one issue that I ordered off of eBay that was waiting for me, and it's Rig and Bill issue number 4. I have another issue of this that I have slabbed that I got several years ago. And this is a little Golden Age comic that's digest sized. So you could compare it there to the Great Society to get a sense of the size. And it was by Harry Chesler. And basically it's got a cute front cover with the sailor, and he's got sweets tattooed on his chest. And they always had nice little funny cartoons on the back cover as well. And the book was basically designed for, troops, and it's full of like good girl art and little funny cartoons. It says here, when you have finished reading this publication, may we suggest that you send it to your brother, son, husband, or sweetheart in the armed service. He will enjoy the fun and laughter just as you did. Your man in uniform deserves the best, and he will appreciate your consideration. Published quarterly by William H. Wise and Company. Editorial and artwork by Harry A. Chesler Jr. Features Syndicate. And there were some, little stories here, some little joke art panels. Here's a funny one here where he says, what I like about her is she can't talk back. But throughout they have there's a centerfold, which is a big spread here. And it goes on like that. But I was able to get this for a really good deal. It popped up on the eBay new listings for $9, and I just immediately snagged it. These go for well over $100 usually, and it's in great shape. So really happy to add that little piece of nautical humor to my collection. So that's it. Just a quick one, Comic Addicts. I hope you enjoyed seeing it, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.